Okay, I need you up here. Also, while I'm thinking about it, we had a meeting about, did I mention that you're going to have to take an ECA in this class? All right. Here's what we're going to do, though. That way, people are absent, it's on this too, and they can hear it. We're all giving this on the same day, Mr. Piper and I and Mr. Spears, PreCal Trig and Honors PreCal. It's going to be on the 29th, the last week of school, the Tuesday. You all know we go 3 days that week, right? So it'll be the Tuesday, the first day we come back after Memorial Day weekend. There's no way for you to prepare for this. It's over the whole year. I think I told you I'm not going to count it. It's not going to hurt you. But what we've decided to do is this, because we want it to be worthwhile to you, because we want you to do the best you can on it. If you get a 40%, there's 38 questions. If you get 40% of them correct, I will raise your 9 weeks grade a letter grade. That means if you have a C, you will get a B. And, can I just talk, please? Just listen. If you get a 60%, I'll raise your semester grade a letter grade. So that would be 24 out of, somewhere around 23, 24 out of 38 questions. I don't want to, there's no discussion right now. Just listen. But that's to let you know that it'll be worthwhile for you to do the best you can. It's all multiple choice. And you are test takers because you should know how to take tests. So how many of you, when you take a test, hopefully you do this, on a, when you have an or a test that's multiple choice and it's a big test like ACT, SAT, I don't know if you do this, but I run through the problems and do the ones I know first. That's a major test-taking thing you should learn if you haven't learned that yet. You should always go through as you scan it and do the ones you know how to do first. Otherwise, you spend too much time on ones you don't know how to do and you run out of time, then you've left one out that you knew how to do. Does that make sense? And you have 45 minutes, you know, to do 38 questions. We all looked at it and sat there and thought, this is crazy. You might be able to do a history test with 38 questions in 45 minutes because you just read and answer, but you're going to have to think about every problem. So that's why it's very important you go through and do what you know how to do first, what you recognize. And how many feel like that's a good incentive? Do you like that idea? Okay. Okay. No, 40-60. If you get 60 or above, you get 1 letter grade. Be happy with that. I think it's very good. It's a nice thing. Okay, let's do this. Between now and then, I need to cover, I think, a minimum of 3, maybe 4 sections. This is the first one that we have left. So we have 3 or 4 sections left. I think I can honestly say, if I remember correctly, we're done with most of the trig stuff. And some of this, did anybody take discrete probability already? Okay. Because I was going to say, you've probably seen this before if you had. This is not hard. Sequences and series. Arithmetic's the easiest one. This is very easy to do. Let me make sure they're here. Not here. All right. Look at your first example. These are all arithmetic sequences and series, which means there's a pattern. And all you need to do is recognize the pattern. We are going to use this formula up here in a little bit, but for example, the first thing that we find when we look at this is what's called the common difference. You might want to underline that or circle that. It's already in bold, isn't it? It's called the common difference. And what that means is you take one term and subtract the previous. So if I take negative 2 minus a negative 5, so you're taking a term and then subtracting the previous term. Does everybody see what I'm talking about? This minus this becomes plus a positive, so we get 3, and that's our common difference. But can't you see in the sequence that if you add 3 to each number, you get the next one? How many see what I'm talking about? It's pretty clear, isn't it? Well, here's an easy bonus. What's it say to write there? The next 3 terms? Write the next 4 terms after positive 1. You have a question? I know that. So this is very simple. So your next term would be 4 and 7 and 10, right? And you could keep on going, remember? This, you understand this dot, dot, dot means that, right? That it continues. We're just writing the next 3. Well, I'm sorry, I said 4, didn't I? The next 4. Now, we don't give yourself a bonus point. I know you probably don't need one because that was too easy, but I'll give you one. In this formula, this is what you're going to use on this whole section. It's on your paper, so if you don't have to write it down. So let me give you a definition of each term up here in this equation. First of all, this is your common difference, this D. So that's, you already know how to find that. N means the number of the term. For example, 1 in this one is the 3rd term, isn't it? In the sequence. It's the 3rd one. Okay? So that's what N means. The number of the term as it appears in the sequence. Now, A sub N is the number of that. For example, 1 is the 3rd, but A sub N is 1. A sub 3, excuse me. Does that make sense? A sub 3 would be 1 because it's the 3rd term. You okay with that? Now this one's easy to remember. A sub 1 is the 1st term in the sequence, which would be negative 5, yes. So negative 5 would be A sub 1. And again, your N here would be, depending on what we're talking about. If we were doing A sub 3 here, then 3 would go here, because that would be your N. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. All right, let's just look and go down to example 2. It says, this is what you do to find a term. So let's find the 47th term. So you have this formula, and you're given this. Actually, is this the same sequence, isn't it? No, it's a little different. Negative 1. This has the same common difference, though, doesn't it? So we have negative 4, negative 1, 2, 5. All right. Now, if we want to find the 47th, then that means if you wanted to take the time, what could you do? Find the common difference. You subtract backwards. 5 minus 2 is 3, isn't it? So your D is 3. If you wanted to, you could actually count and add 3, couldn't you, till you got to the 47th one. That would take a little while and some paper, but this can give it to you right away. That's what this is for. So see if you can plug it in from what I've told you. See if you can find the 47th term from what I've told you. You'd start out like this. We're looking for the 47th term. I know the last section we just quizzed over is probably one of the hardest sections you've had. A lot of stuff to remember to do one problem. This is probably going to be, the next few sections are going to be pretty easy. I think we finish the year every year with easier stuff. It's a nice way to end the year. So you don't have to think too hard. So what's the, before you give me your answer, what goes in for a sub 1? First term is -4 plus our n is what? 47 minus 1, and our common difference was, or is, 3. How many plugged all those numbers in correctly? Yes? I'm sorry? We're not done yet. What's the answer?
133.
Okay. You didn't just drink some Mountain Dew or something, did you?
I had 2 months.
What?
I had 2 muffins.
Okay. Wonder what was in the muffin. Here we go. So we have -4 plus 46 times 3, right? So we have -4 plus, what's this? 138? What are you looking at me that way for? So what do we get? Yes. So a sub 47, the 47th term, I don't like that big one there, is, well, how many got 134? Now I'll give you 2 bonus points for that. Now you know how to find a term. We don't need to do B because you just got bonus for that. You would know how to do that, right? Let's go to the next example. Now, everything we're doing on here, you're going to use this formula. So, what I'd like you to do, basically on every problem we're going to do from this point on, is you're just plugging in what you know and solving for what you don't. And you should know how to do that from algebra, right? So, it says in part A there, find the first term. Well, here's our formula. We have a sub 19. Oh, we know this, don't we? What is the a sub n we're using? 42? So 42 goes here. Does everybody see why I put 42 there? Our a sub 19 equals that. So what is n going to be? 19. Now, we're looking for the first term, so this is our variable, isn't it? Right? This is what we're looking for. Then, what did we say n was? So we have 19 minus 1, and do we have a common difference given to us? -2/3. This is, you just plug in the formula. Now, go ahead and see if you can finish that for me. This is just algebra and some math here. We need to figure out what a is, solve for a sub 1. How many like this better than the last section? That's what I thought. So in this particular sequence, what's our a sub 1, and then we'll see how we got it. Anybody want to give me an answer? 54? 56? All right, we got a 54 and we got a 56. Anybody else got another one? I'm sorry? Yeah. I'm just throwing up, I'm going to see Anybody else get a different one than these two, though? Well, let's see what happens. So we have 42, and this is an 18 times negative 2/3. Well, that's going to be negative 12. How many got negative 12 there? Yeah. 18 divided by 3 is 6, right? Times negative 2, negative 12. Then doesn't that mean we add 12 to this? So the answer is 54. Give yourself 2 bonus points if you got that. All right, do the next one. Part B says find, oh no, let's not do that. We just did that. You know how to solve for a missing part. Let's go to finding arithmetic means. Still going to use your same formula. We're given two numbers, 4.9, and how many arithmetic means do we want to find? 5. Means means in the middle, between. So we're going to want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 arithmetic means between these two. And then we'll have we're going to write that sequence between the two numbers. So we only need one thing. We need the common difference, don't we? Can we find the common difference? Then we'd add it to this to get this one, and then add it again, like you did the first example. Well, what do we know here? We know this is the first, right? How many do we have total? No. If we count the 5, don't we have 7 numbers if we count the means in between? So this is a sub 7. Are you following me? What's this? Well, let's plug them into our formula. So we have 2.5 equals 4.9 plus, and since I have 2.5 here and this is the same as a sub 7, what's our n? 7 minus 1, and now we need to find the common difference. You already got it? That's what I thought. But does everybody see where I got everything after lining everything up here? You use your last number here, and that's the 7th one, so that means n is 7. Remember how n is the number of the term? What order it comes in? So let's see if we got this part right first. Got a little algebra 1 equation here, don't we? So, what do you get over here? Negative what? 2.4? If you divide by 6, what do we get? Yeah. D is going to be negative 0.4. How many got that? The rest of you see how we did it, though. Just solving the equation. So if I want the next one after 4.9, what do I do? You add negative 0.4. Remember, you add it. Doesn't matter whether this is positive or negative. You add it to that in general, which ends up being subtracted. You see what I mean? So what's the next one here? Yeah. Then the next one. And the next one. And the next one. And the next one. Now, if this is correct, then the next one should be correct if I add a negative 0.4 to this. And it does work, doesn't it? Yes? Okay, now you know how to find arithmetic means, the numbers between two terms in the sequence. All right, if you had all this right and found those before I did, give yourself 2 bonus points. All right, do we need to do another one of those, or are you okay? How many are okay? Let's go to the last example then, so I can finish this. The next formula you see there is finding the sum of the numbers in a sequence. So we're going to be using this to find a sum. That's why they use an S. S sub n, sum of all the numbers, is n divided by 2 times a sub 1 plus a sub n. Guess I can read that correctly. So in this particular arithmetic series, now this is a series because they have pluses between it. A sequence has commas, a series has pluses and minuses. You can have plus or minuses. All right, so we've got 9 plus 14 plus 19 okay. Now a sub n is always your last number. Like I did on the, remember how we did that on the arithmetic means a little bit ago? It was the last number. So if I want the sum of this, we need to find n. How are we going to do that? How'd you get that? Oh, they give it to you. I thought we were going to have to find it. Darn. They give it to you. It says there's 60 terms in there, doesn't it? So this is a sub 60, right? Does that make sense? So that means if there's 60 terms, this is your a to the nth term, and n is 60. Yes. So we can plug that in. 60 over 2. Your first one is 9. Your last one, a sub n, is that. They made this easier than I thought they would. So, do the math. Let's see if you get it right. So it's basically going to be 30 times 394, or excuse me, 313. How many got 9390? There you go. I'll give you a bonus point for doing that math right. Now you know how to use the sum formula. Everybody okay with that? Yes? Do you need to do another one? The next one, though, is missing something that you have to find, isn't it? You're going to have to find the last number out of 62 terms, which means, what do we have to do first? Use the first equation and find this. Because how many terms were there given? 62. So we use our first equation, put in a sub 1 right there. And then when we have 62 minus 1, and then we could find d. How do we find d? Yeah, it's going to be 1.5. D is going to be the same as negative 21.5. Is it minus a negative 23, isn't it? Right? Remember how you subtract backwards to get D? So D in this case is 1.5, isn't it? So now we can put that in here. Now, once we find this term, you already know how to do that. I'll just give it to you real quickly if you haven't found it yet. There's that term. Now you use your sum formula. What goes in for n? Yeah, so we're finding the sum of 62 terms. So wouldn't that be 62 over 2? What's our first term? Negative, right? Negative 23 plus 68.5. Then you find your answer. looks like 31 times 45.5. So the sum of 62 terms in this particular series is 1,410.5. Now you know how to do everything. Any questions before I erase this? Okay. That'll take care of it.